we are studying quadratic equations, and right now we have to calculate what are the values of x for which these two equations are satisfied. These are two different parts. So first of all we have to find out the values of x for which this equation is satisfied, and then for the values of x for which this equation is satisfied. Now we know that the degree of this equation and this equation is 2, the power is 2, the highest power of x is 2. So there will be two solutions, as we know it is a quadratic equation, so two solutions. So we have to calculate it through factorization. So how do we do it? First of all, we are doing the first part. It says 2x square is equal to 3x. We know that the basic form of a quadratic equation is ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. So this is the basic form of a quadratic equation. So we have to bring this equation into this form. So how do we do is, we take this 3x to this side, which this becomes 2x square minus 3x equal to 0. Now in this equation, a is equal to 2, b is equal to minus 3, and c is equal to 0 because there is no constant term. So a is equal to 2, b is equal to minus 3, and c is equal to 0. Right? Now we have to bring this equation in the form x minus y equal to 0 and x minus z equal to 0. As we know, we are doing factorization, so zero product, we have to calculate the zero product form, we have to bring it in zero product form. So how do we do this? We take x common, this becomes 2x minus 3, so equal to 0. Now this says x minus 0 is equal to 3 and 2x minus 3 equal to 3. X minus 0 is x, so x and 2x minus 3 equal to 0. Now we know that if x is equal to 0, this term will come out to be 0, or if this whole bracket becomes 0, then this term will again come out to be 0. So we have x equal to 0 and 2x minus 3 equal to 0. These are the two solutions. We have to calculate the value of x from here. So x becomes 3 by 2 and 0. So these are the two values of x for which this equation is satisfied. Clear? Now we move on to the second part, or the second question, which says 8x square plus 15 is equal to 26x. Now how do we go about this question? We have to again bring this equation in this form, ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. So what do? We bring this to this side. We write this as 8x square minus 26x plus 15 equal to 0. So here a is equal to 8, b is equal to minus 26, and c is equal to 15. A is equal to 8, b is equal to minus 26, and c is equal to 15. Now this question was very simple because we could take x common and the zero product form is reached. But in this question what happens is, we have to split the middle term into two factors and then take common. So we have to split the middle term in such a way that if we add those two terms we get this, and if we multiply those two terms we get the product of 8x square and 15. So in rough I am doing a calculation which says 8x square multiplied by 15 is equal to, how much is this? This is 120 x square. So we have to find two terms whose sum is equal to minus 26x and whose product is equal to 120x square. So the two terms whose sum is equal to minus 26x and whose product is equal to 120x square are minus 20x and minus 6x. So plus 15 is equal to 0. So we've written this equation like this: minus 20x minus 6x is equal to minus 26x. We just split that, and 20 into 6 is 120. So minus 20 into minus 6 is 120, and x square. So minus 120 x square it becomes. Now we take something common from the first two terms and then from the second two terms. So how do we do that? First of all, we take 4 common from the first two terms, 4x. This term remains 2x, am I right? And from this remains 5. Okay. Now from this term, this equation also, we have to take something common. So now that term is minus 3. If we take minus 3 common, what remains in this bracket is 2x minus 5 equal to 0. Now one thing that has to be noted is that this bracket and this bracket, this term and this term, both of these terms will always be equal. This thing has to be noted. This is a recheck. This is a way to recheck your sum that it is coming out to be correct. This term and this term will always be equal. So we have two equations which say 4x minus 3 into 2x minus 5 equal to 0. This equation becomes this from here. So now what do we do is that we have these two equations. We've reached the zero product form. So we have two values of h for which this equation is satisfied. Why? Because if this term will come out to be 0, the product will be 0, and if this term comes out to be 0, the product will still be 0. So we have two solutions, that is 4x minus 3 equal to 0 and 2x minus 5 equal to 0. So from here x is equal to 3 by 4 and x is equal to 5 by 2. So these are the two values of x for which this equation is satisfied.